Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Thornburg. Started a discussion with a mom regarding my advice that a parent and a teenager should look at cell phone use in the bedroom from a responsibility standpoint instead of the parent controlling the child, because that doesn't foster an environment of taking responsibility. It's important that a parent looks at how the child's performing in those areas of the child's life. And again, we're speaking about teens where they can take responsibility, such as, are they performing well academically? Are they participating in sports and doing well there? Are their social interactions appropriate? And if we see that the teen is managing all areas of their life, then in my opinion, we want to help foster responsibility and management, because it's something that the child is going to, in a few short years, start to manage for themselves as adults at 18. And in this specific case that I mentioned, it was a 15-year-old who was doing well academically and in sports and socially. And the mom was just fearful that the child would stay up after 10 o'clock. She did not have that evidence. That child hadn't done that since mom had been taking the phone at 15. And my perspective was that the mom and the child should vocalize each other's needs, so there was a full understanding of what's happening. For the child, obviously, they want to have community. They want to have connection with their friends. They'd like to have some autonomy, having a cell phone in the room. If they're providing responsible actions in all areas of their life, then you have to allow the child to take on a little bit more responsibility. And from the mom's perspective, she is interested in making sure that the child continues to perform well academically in school and sports and as well as socially, but she wasn't allowing that opportunity for the child to develop into more of a self-contained adult. And that's where the rub lies, is the mom was using a domination hierarchy approach where she was going to use rewards and punishments in order to manage her child. But through that type of equation of mom controlling and then saying, you're not capable of doing this, or I'm not even going to give you an opportunity to show that you're capable of doing this, it's not fostering a future healthy relationship between the parent and the child, because the child only sees the parent as managing them and not allowing them to express their own needs, which is community, socialization, autonomy, which is very normal teenage needs. So the child will then possibly look for other areas to find people who will allow them to express those autonomy, mastery, self-fulfillment needs. And that's where oftentimes kids and parents go afoul, is the parent is continuing to operate in a domination hierarchy, whereas we don't treat other adults that way. And while we can say, well, they're my teenager, and so I have the right to do that. But again, remember, in the long play, you're only teaching the child to be as dominant as you are. So when the child does attain adulthood and essentially has equal footing as you as an adult under the law, they will treat you the same way that you treated them with the domination hierarchy. And so when they see an opportunity to take control from you, they're going to do that regardless of what your feelings or needs are. And unfortunately, that's where so many families spiral down into unhealthy relationships. It doesn't address either party's needs, therefore there isn't real honest from the heart dialoguing. And I point this out because one of the moms on Instagram said that she didn't agree with my perspective of using a needs-based approach. And as long as the child was performing on all areas that they should be. This mom online still felt that because of the work from John Haidt, which says that cell phones are not preparing children for adulthood, kind of a dummy phone should be used until the child is at least in high school. And this mom particularly advocated that it wasn't until the junior or senior year of high school would she provide her child a cell phone. And I feel that that is a domination hierarchy approach, because you're not fostering an environment that allows the child to communicate clearly with you. Clear communication doesn't magically happen in life. It is taught through an organized environment, and it takes a lot of consciousness to do it, because most of us were raised in domination hierarchies. I was raised in a particularly forceful domination hierarchy, given that everybody in my family is an attorney, so it was a very logical domination hierarchy. But when we start speaking from the heart and saying, I have this concern that you might become anxious, which is the concluding remarks from John Haidt, then the parent and the teenager, again, we're speaking about high school teens, will develop a much more fluid, genuine, authentic relationship, as opposed to the child just saying, well, this is the way mom wants it. When they become an adult in a few years, they don't know how to express themselves. They've only learned work for the reward, avoid the punishment. You can't prepare your child for adulthood unless you're giving them opportunities to perform at age-appropriate levels and then gradually add on more responsibility. For instance, I wouldn't let one of my children obtain their permit or their driver's license if they're not performing very well academically, if they're not performing well socially, and if they're not performing well in their sports or in some after-school activity, because those are the measures at that age. And if they're doing well at those, then 100% they should be given an opportunity to take on the next level of responsibility. But if they they can't, I'm not going to give them, a 5,000-pound potential death vehicle that could hurt them or someone else just to give them a rite of passage. No, there needs to be a very measured step. So while I can understand where this mom is coming from, that she doesn't want to have an environment that her child becomes anxious because they have an inability to manage themselves, but I argue that inability to manage themselves come from the fact that the child is going to grab any opportunities they can to become autonomous if the parent's not giving them the age-appropriate access to things in their life, such as cell phones, a car, when they are deserving of it. And hopefully this stimulates some more conversation on this topic, because by no means is there one approach. I just prefer nonviolent communication and speaking from the heart and needs-based therapy over a domination hierarchy. Domination hierarchies do not teach people how to identify what makes them feel alive. They just learn how to meet other people's needs. Thanks.